Mixed martial arts have introduced us to dozens of rare submissions, but it is in grappling that finishing holds are elevated to the rank of art.
8-minute round again.
Pursuing a precious tap, there's nothing wrong in believing you can fly. Or put the antagonist on the verge of breaking down.
Wow! What a finish!
Today, we will examine the most unexpected, exceptional, and even majestic ways of forcing surrender on the mats.
Good drop off for it, there he goes.
Beautiful.
Oh, that is in.
Albeit less dynamic, gi jiu-jitsu is characterized by greater technical diversity, in part due to active use of lapels. Among hundreds of different variations, the so-called cowboy choke stands out as demonstrated by Daniel Sala. From front headlock position, he passes his own lapel into the right hand.
You see him putting that left hand trying
and secures the opponent's head in place with the left.
He's gonna sit.
Then reverses the position with a sit-out and gets the tap.
Man, he's gonna get the tap. That was dope as hell.
Brilliant exploitation of the uniform and a solid application for a rodeo license.
Look at this.
A veteran of the Japanese MMA scene, Barrett Yoshida shared his own implementation of lethal bondage, countering the guard pass by transitioning to crucifix.
Yeah, they're just going to go for the crucifix.
The old trickster immobilized the near arm in a chicken wing position.
He's got one arm trapped.
And then put on the muzzle.
At the same time, using his lapel. Yeah, he's getting his own lapel.
Taking a nap was not part of the rival's plan.
Tap. The legendary Yoshida finish, another crucifix.
Lastly, a mini guide to mid-air execution. Get a grip and a short running start. Now jump and loop the cloth around the enemy's neck. Slightly shift to find the perfect angle. Now we're cooking. Invented by judo practitioners, the first recorded instance of a triangle choke use dates back to 1921, and since then, the world has witnessed numerous interpretations.
Davies twisting it, and she does it!
In 2017, former UFC fighter Antonio Carlos Jr. surprised the renowned heel snatcher Gary Tonin.
Oh, Antonio Carlos with a beautiful flying triangle!
Controlling the foe's posture with the left underhook and a collar tie, the Brazilian immediately punished the attempt to reach for his legs and wrapped them around the head and the arm.
With a beautiful flying triangle!
Caught off guard, the American resisted for a while.
Is there enough space for Gary Tonin to escape?
But ultimately went down.
Could win this match and gets the submission! Antonio Carlos Jr., the big man!
The extravagant Australian Craig Jones caused a storm at ADCC 2017 when he faced the sports icon Murilo Santana. The decorated warrior credulously stood up into a head-inside single and fell right into the levitating trap. Tightening the triangle with his back off the ground, Craig turned the frustrated veteran into a spectator. 5 years later at the World Championship, Francisco Lowe expressed his disdain for double guard pulls. Springing up first and controlling both wrists, he lunged into the strangle, legs first. Sprinkling a dash of armbar on top. Modern grappling cannot be imagined without leg locks.
Oh, knee bar, big knee bar, huge win for Diego Pablo.
And if you find a classic knee bar somewhat tedious, then you should pay attention to the dog bar. First, isolate one of the opponent's legs. Lock a figure 4 around the ankle.
Just like that.
And slowly drop your hips down to hyperextend the joint.
Going low.
This demonstration was provided by BJJ World Champion Bernardo Faria, who had gathered a whole collection of patellas in a similar manner. Albeit doing it with love. The same can't be said about the bloodthirsty Brazilian Victor Anario, who displayed a slightly less gentle version of this move. Despite biblical undertones in its name, the Ezekiel choke has little to do with Christian morality.
From here, there it goes. There it is.
Wow!
Deceptively simple yet challenging to pull off, this technique gained significant popularity in gi jiu-jitsu circles.
Extend up here, obviously. And he's gonna get the tap. Ezekiel choke finish.
It involves utilizing your own sleeve to create some sort of a loop, and compressing the carotid artery and the windpipe with your fingers.
Under his chin.
Let's enjoy the flawless execution by former Bellator champion Rafael Lovato. Anticipating a cross-collar grip, his adversary protects himself by turning to the side, which opens up the crossface and the subsequent choke. In 2020, Sloan Clymer showed his own modification of the Ezekiel, closing the guard following an unsuccessful butterfly sweep attempt.
Sloan butterfly with...
The American locked in the choke with the victim's arm inside, and finished the job from the top.
Wow, beautiful sweep to mount. That was... Oh, and he taps him. Wow.
The unorthodox style, developed by Eddie Bravo and perfected by his followers, has intriguing roots.
Once I started smoking weed, my whole brain changed.
In 10th Planet jiu-jitsu schools across the globe, athletes come up with new sophisticated ways of twisting people into pretzels. Dead Orchard is an arm lock variation named after its author, Nathan Orchard.
It's gonna be very tight. There's the tap, Nathan Orchard on his way to
The setup is performed from the patented rubber guard. The attacker slightly opens the legs to lure the opponent into escaping, which only worsens everything. The dangling arm is there for the taking.
And I'll just take this armbar right off the bat.
First, breaking the enemy's posture. Nathan throws his second leg into a position called crackhead control, then locks the figure four, and sends the poor soul home on the Pineapple Express train. In 2022, Ben Eddy stole his colleague's artwork at the Combat Jiu-Jitsu tournament. Added a drum solo.
They were trying to open up Wilson Hayes.
And left the stage in style.
And now armbar coming. Ben Eddy by submission.
The armbar in its forms is an integral part of many grappling arts.
Nice. That was beautiful.
Finding a judoka, sambo practitioner, or jiu-jitsu athlete who has never drilled the jujigatame is a more challenging task than knocking out Max Holloway. And although tens of thousands of matches have been won with this old-school submission, we'll highlight the ones that stood out from the rest. At Quintet 1, MMA veteran Hideo Takoro set the arena on fire with a magnificent entry.
8-minute round again.
Grabbing the wrist on the feet first, the Japanese wizard deceptively dived for the near leg, hiding his true intentions of snatching the vulnerable arm. Spinning like a whirlwind a la Grandmaster Imanari, Hideo caused an uproar in the crowd. In 2021, Josias Cavalcante adorned the Miami Open tournament by disposing of the pesky collar tie in radical fashion. Drawing an imaginary circle in the air, GZ made everyone's jaw drop, including the lovebirds standing nearby. As for the Audacity of the Year award, it goes to Davi Hamosh for his victory in the ADCC 2015 final. Carefully approaching his opponent's guard, the Brazilian leaped over the obstacle in Super Mario style. There is hardly a submission as revered and damaging as the heel hook.
He got it.
A split-second defensive lapse, and you might find yourself on crutches, waiting in line for an MRI scan on your knee. Add this formidable weapon to the repertoire of an all-action athlete, and you get Gary Tonin, John Danaher's student made this move his trademark and climbed to the top of no-gi grappling on a rope woven of opponents' knee ligaments.
Tonin sitting to the saddle position, doing the hit there, both trading heel hooks in.
5 years later at the ADCC, Gary earned deafening ovations using the same method. Going from 0 to 100 in just 15 seconds, Tonin made Uncle Sam himself proud.
Yeah, but it was. Look at that, right into the Kari Basami. Wow! And he gets it! Holy smokes!
The human spine is not supposed to bend like a spiral pasta. This obvious fact explains the effectiveness of the submission known as the twister.
He might have it. He does.
He just had to get the toes out of the cage.
By exerting monstrous pressure on the back and neck, this unusual move makes the victim choose between a tap and a wheelchair, which is why it is prohibited in most competitions. However, Abu Dhabi sheikhs aren't too strict when it comes to safety, which allowed the bone breaker Vinny Magalhães to shine at ADCC 2015. The Brazilian noticed back exposure and inserted a right twister hook, tricking the foe into giving up the opposite arm.
If you want, go over under on the crotch.
Vinny dragged it behind the head
Nice, Vinny, nice.
and performed spine realignment with a happy ending.
Knock your hands, Vinny.
The sound of cracking vertebrae marked the end of his grappling venture for the Ultimate Fighter veteran, Shoni Carter. The opponent pulled off a 3-move checkmate.
The back. He's gonna go for his twister hook.
He is.
He's gonna go for his twister hook.
This isn't the first twister he's gone
through, yep.
And after some brief persuasions, Shoni chose the safe way out.
Mr. International as he...
And Seth gets the tap.
Sometimes silence can seem so loud.
And there's the sombrero.
Seth
Let's give credit to a few works of art that didn't make it onto our list. In 2010, the legendary Marcelo Garcia straight up big brothered Ben Askren. The elegantly floating Brazilian first crucifixed the folk-style wrestler,
Call you right there, Ronnie.
then made him applaud in pain. The previously mentioned Ben Eddy is known for his flexibility and creativity. Here, Eddie's adversary showcased A-grade toughness by escaping a tight gogoplata. But soon fell victim into the Hinduatine, a guillotine from rubber guard. The infamous just get up technique wasn't enough this time. Aerobatics in MMA can be a display of beauty, as proven by Japanese veteran Rumina Sato. Back in 1995, the virtuoso known as the Moonwolf masterfully countered a takedown attempt with an inverted flying triangle. Grinded the foe's kidney stones. And squeezed the fight out of him. The Buggy choke became trendy just a few years ago and caused a considerable shift in the overall tactical approach. This sudden and rather fortuitous submission discourages top players from passively laying in side control.
Oh, he's got the arm all the way over the top.
It's not too complicated. Your lat muscle presses into one carotid artery, their shoulder into the other.
On the crick of the knee.
Perhaps the most famous proponents of this move are the Ruotolo brothers, especially Cade.
Here's this Buggy choke attempt. He's in trouble here. He's getting squeezed out.
He willingly conceded the sweep,
Franson's head into these kind of positions.
Cade his head.
only to catch the naive fella seconds later.
Oh, he's oh my God! It's the Are you serious? If he gets this, we can just call this something. Oh my God! Are you kidding me?
Sometimes, guys end up on both sides of this exotic chokehold. For example, Jacob Rodriguez triumphantly rode all the way to ADCC on the Buggy.
A minute. All right, there he goes. Jay Rodriguez.
But passed the baton to Rene Souza at a local tournament.
Let's fucking go!
However, Souza himself got drowned in a Buggy whirlpool against Derek Rayfield. He slyly locked in his favorite submission and was confident in a swift victory.
He's so tired. Train hard as fuck, bro. I'm not tired.
What he definitely didn't expect was instant karma for his arrogance. Pulling a reverse card out of his sleeve, Rayfield mirrored the Buggy choke move, producing the best submission of 2021. Just like in our beloved cage, magic often happens on the square mats.
Does it!
So we will continue to delight you with the most breathtaking moments from the realm of grappling.
8-minute round again.
If you enjoyed the video and want to see more submission wizardry, tap the like button, subscribe to the channel, and vote for sport.
Leg control there, a la Leo Vieira, old school. Wow! What a finish!